This vodcast is brought to you by the Cornell Chronicle and Humanities Communications at Cornell University.
The meaning box. Remove the lid and nothing. While we were dreaming or debating, it escaped. Its damp scent lingers in the air. What now? The box looks bigger in sunlight and bottomless, ever emptier with each minute, an accelerating vacuum. What could we gather to fill it? Not the churning matter of stars, not our own misunderstood lives. What can be done beyond begin? Here, a eucalyptus branch, a battered violin, a drop of human blood. In words, certainly, but in no certain order.
Slate. Neither pigeon, taupe, nor coal black. Not a braille pen embossing points on bond, the entrance in a race, record of events, or gray scales meshed in roofs. Not to foreordain, but all of the above, the future scrubbed with flesh-burn brush, threshold unscented by event as yet. The premise, the blackboard's dense blank screen, unreckoned rock complexion. The tablet unchalked with take and scene. Opposite of has been, antonym to fixed. The breath of beforelessness links with hope or mind or flesh. When all is full, able, and o'er, as color, as galore, as before words. The above, yes, and beyond measure. Unstinting sky, green fire of cornfields, the how many husks clasping how many cells, the brain to say rich, new, if, and swim in possibility, as it is and evermore shall be, to fold to origami thought, look, no shears or hands, the blizzard unabridged within the black dilated iris core, and hold it. Little pupil can, in mind, in utero, sculpt the is, the am.
These are 3 haiku offered in warm welcome for David and Robin in their beginnings at Cornell and Ithaca. The daylilies, some have crossed the road. The daylilies, some have crossed the road. Our turn to stand here falls overlook. Our turn to stand here falls overlook. On the way to hear the music, crickets. On the way to hear the music, crickets.
The glowworm for sunny stit. The glowworm works up the barren limb like a fragile index of the world. This is not his poem. He sings for himself. The poem here is the singing of the glowworm, how he struggles up the next section of bark, stretching like an accordion, his mind seething with his body's thumbless design. But this is not his poem. It is about lovers. It is about sound and sense and sound sense, incense, innocence. It is about games and lovers. It is about the struggle to be perfect, to make that love inviolable, sacred. It is about the poet who needs language, who needs the world, who needs words to love him. It is about love, vast love, love of meanings love. It is about the soul which speaks beyond sense, which flushes like a quail after startling. It is about love, the love of the smallest darting, the imperfect journey, the glowing glowworm, worthy of itself and worthy then of singing.
Taking a history. On the nurse's chart, I am the point everything descends to. My parents' blood pressure, grandmother's stroke, even the cancer that took a grandfather 30 years before my birth. When I say my father is 80 and strong, how kindly she says, "Bless his heart," and smiles, as though his heart goes on for us, for her own quiet presence, for mine ungainly on the white table. The doptone picks up the tap of a pea-sized mussel afloat in sea belly. Through liquid static, a rolling crackle like cosmonaut voices over the gelled silence of space. My second heart, and so fast as if some part of me is rowing hard against the salt stuff of our most ancient navigation. And I become this dull, slow boom haunting the background.
Evanescence. I'd like to speak of that word, seldom discussed, yet imminent, as meteorites streaking in daylight or ultraviolet rays, evasive, invasive, defying nets the way some viruses slip through a filter. We always suspected their presence years ago, before the advent of virtuoso electronic microscopes. And even so many particles tinier and trickier than ticks or quicksilver practice legerdemain. Why waste time looking for them? Oh, I'd say let it go. But for a claim this ephemeral, what a grip it has. A python's constriction is less terrible. And although we have no proof, the homily is true. People do die from it. But no one wants to believe this slow distillation around us, neighbors and lovers disappearing in silence, one by one by one, and hardly any notice taken. A few sly tears sliding through. Then we put away our Kleenex and continue. Father, mother, friends, vanishing as though flesh-eating pathogens dined before dawn. Where are the authorities? Why will no one impartial tell them? Would one fixed star fall from its purple cradle? Such deletions are definitely not acceptable, are, in fact, please don't say it, intolerable.
I'll dig into my days, having come here to live, not visit. Denise Levertov. Ithaca. Walking away from it, I think I am this close to the highway. I am close enough to see it, and farther still than to hear it. The field, shoulder-high grass, wildflowers, curves me out of earshot. One carves a trail, or treks, hikes, skirt gathered up into balled fists, between thighs in high grass, in hot weather, the root already blazed with white flashes. I am not married to this place. Some other yes draws me, the way train tracks marry the trail over the inlet here, steel, will over water. Walking towards conflation of arrival and creation, here and out here where, walking out, to discover anything but corporeality is bunk. I woke this morning wed to the idea of setting, cops dampening what's left of road noise, the central narrative and absence carved out here, another marker, a hidden falls, sound.
The cost of lingering. If the point the poet taught was not to arrive at Ithaca, but to linger, savoring the way, I could lay claim to a life well spent. I acquired learning and rare perfumes on many summer mornings in ports with exotic names. The poet echoed his master, who called his hero devious, a man of many turns. Each detour cost him youth, ships, crew, and yet he lingered, driven by his greedy mind to know, by his animal body to taste. Did he arrive rich with each experience, or was the cost too high? When the geese left honking for the south, did he watch their leaving with eyes greedy like mine, the steady beat of wings dipping like oars, stirring the fathomless blue?
Lift to drag ratios. Avjet feeds the ram and thrust and ram, a punch of path across the sky. What a male way to fly! Look, softer lines of geese, their sequenced necks crimping the sky, tied to water and tough landings understood. The honk drama of a southering traverse, men's still smarting sky. But in their V I see common principles of flight apply.
From Severance Songs. Givens of a walk round, 5 goslings and 2 geese under architecture. A sapling spines out of rainwater with a marsh bird in its beak. Beyond, commissary concrete and the police band's buzz, enthusing flyaway. We are mortal, and these thoughts propagate what they propitiate. Specialness, springtime, we accept to rain. Rain dust's newsprint to assign our skins, adopt our homes. But Mrs. Ramsay said it might be fine tomorrow. Is our tomorrow hers? Her nearly audible click? What is to be done in the face of our mild occupation? Paddling between their parents, the newly fleeced, our bird with dim yellow optimism. What's given seems some water, and the bell these buildings peal.
Occupation. World stands for itself and no other. As in process, the word lies unspoken, despite itself the world unsaid on condition, that way as if screened, or a scream of compassion. Don't let that in. Don't let that consume you. Don't let that in. Where the world as it stands, as if sand or a hurricane, nameless acrostics somehow, you might think, as in words, as they turn, a synecdoche self where it stands in the wake of itself, as awakened by tears, as if drowned in the name of itself, as if torn, as if sails on horizons enveloped in platinum or turnstiles, encrusted in diamonds and gold.
No title. To stay different, never to be like them, because, as always, the worst is behind us. So here I am now. After the 5th morning cigarette, I start sweating. After the 10th, I literally faint. Everything is a matter of faith, hope, and love, and of course, of iron lungs. That's the freedom I always have been dreaming of. Now, I can finally see it all around me for the taking, like a confection. The time has come to drop everything that is superfluous, because the worst, as always, is yet to come. Until then, I slide my hands into my pockets. I hit the street, cheering myself up.
A selection of haiku. How fragile it is, the shadow that I cast from the light of the moon. Summertime. This maple tree is so beautiful, it should be famous. The beauty of the pine tree is not for us, but for other pine trees.
Apples. Though the hurricane swept out to sea, windfalls cluttered the orchard like a fresh cat banked for cleaning. We peeled through bushel baskets. Our fingers turned brown and leathery while the pies baked. Piece after piece slid with barely a breath, our throats cinnamon. The tree standing at my doorstep, pruned countless times, twisted and hollow, is bearing fruit in its 2nd century. Cold mornings, my breath semaphores across wet grass. New dress for new school year. The graphite smell of sharpened pencils. The surprised ache of muscle pulled, scaling the biggest tree I could handle. Apples wash my mouth out.
Rearview mirror. This little pool in the air is not a spring but sink, into which trees and highway, bank and fields are sipped away to minuteness, all split on the present, then merge in stretched perspective, radiant in reverse, the wide world guttering back to one lit point, as our way weeps away to the horizon, in this eye where the past flies ahead.
This vodcast is brought to you by the Cornell Chronicle and Humanities Communications at Cornell University. To download, like a fragile index of the world, visit cornell.edu/humanities.